how the BTS army changed the fandom culture. From the beginning, when I started watching Jungkook Standing Next to You, one of the first reaction videos on this channel, where I didn't know who Jungkook was, I didn't know who BTS was. From the start, army culture, the fandom was completely different than what I experienced ever. It was so different. The supporting comments were also different, and also the majority of the people being nice, it's a little bit different. Also, how many armies are there in the beginning was for me surprising, and the way the army behaves in the concerts, the little things, I think the respect, it's so different. I'm quite interested what kind of an angle she's going to go in Veracity magazine, because her videos are really analytical, logical.
Of which fandom is the best fandom. And every single time, fandoms would name a crazy thing they did as one of the most legendary things that happened in pop culture. And these legendary moments are almost always related.
I think these paparazzi videos shows you like a fandom culture is a selfish culture. Like every single fan here is not respecting the person, like they're not respecting the celebrity. They're like banging on the car, they're just trying to touch him or touch her, Ariana Grande. They're trying to do something crazy, trying to take a picture. I don't know if you would describe that as a fan. That's just extremely selfish. If you genuinely like this person, you would respect this person. You're not trying to invade their privacy and try to make them feel uncomfortable.
To some kind of invasion of privacy. For example, Affinity magazine made a list of the One Direction fandom's most legendary moments, and all of the examples are interesting. But this is the fandom's #1 moment. One Directioners hacked into airport and hotel security cameras just to watch the members of One Direction. And the fandom agrees that these are their most legendary moments. They are a #Throwback Thursday. These are moments they are proud of. This is proof they invented fandom. It's moments like this that made them the most iconic.
You mean you hacked a security camera, invaded their privacy, and that's the most iconic moment? Put yourself in the One Direction situation. How would they feel? They think they're in a safe situation. When you're alone, you're gonna do certain things that you cannot do on camera, and that's iconic. That's disrespectful for me.
And every time I see some kind of debate or discussion about which is the best fandom, it's usually a competition of which is the craziest fandom. I think it's because fandoms usually have the idea that the crazier the fandom acts, the bigger the fandom will be perceived. These type of fandoms are known to not only be extremely big, but also so crazy that they are considered some type of disease. It was the Beatlemania, the Justin Bieber fever, the One Direction infection. And as you can see, this negative image that media and the general public put on big fandoms ends up convincing them.
Also, when you start promoting being crazy as a way to detect how good of a fan you are, well, that encourages the crazy activities. That's an extremely toxic way.
Their bad reputation, to even be proud of it. That was until the BTS fandom became the biggest fandom.
It's safe to say that ARMY are the most powerful fandom in the world. And the thing that brings them together? Their complete devotion to 7 men from South Korea and their unique message.
There is this common perception that the BTS army and K-pop fandoms in general are extremely toxic. And the first problem I have with this idea is that BTS's fandom is being combined with a bunch of other fandoms that are not related to BTS. They are actually known to team up to compete against BTS's fandom. In reality, and generally speaking, ARMY reflects BTS's message, a message that K-pop groups, pop artists, and their fandoms lack. Of course, artists don't have to have a message, but BTS was socially conscious since their debut, leaving a clear impression on their fans and creating some kind of fandom etiquette. This fandom etiquette did not come as a list of rules that ARMY must follow. It was simply a consequence of the fandom understanding the message of BTS's music and their actions as people. Of course, I'm not saying that every single BTS fan is not toxic. There have been concerning invasion of privacy cases involving BTS. The difference is that this is not something the fandom celebrates. It's actually condemned and the exception to the rule. Actually, these toxic moments are talked about and called out within the fandom so much that it may feel like they happen all the time. But compared to other fandoms who encourage it and are proud of it, the BTS ARMY proves that they, maybe involuntarily, created a shift in fandom culture. ARMY is probably the first big fandom who doesn't want to be recognized as a mania or a fever or an infection, but just a group of people who not only practices respect, but also actually does productive things for BTS, each other, and the world. There's obviously going to be some toxic ones who don't represent the majority, but in the case of ARMY, the toxic side is microscopic compared to the majority non-toxic side. Just
Respect is a good way to put it.
think about it. The BTS ARMY is bigger than every K-pop fandom combined. BTS's behind-the-scenes YouTube channel has 74 million subscribers. Their Instagram has 72 million followers. Their 2 Twitter accounts have around 50 million followers each. And their recent TikTok account has around 60 million followers. You can argue that not all of these people are going to be ARMY. Some can be casual listeners or curious people from the general public. Maybe you only want to count the 15 million fans dedicated enough to pay for the official BTS ARMY annual membership. Of course, this excludes a lot of dedicated ARMYs who are not able to pay for the membership or that won't get the benefits because of their location or other factors. But still, if you only want to count these 15 million fans paying for the membership, you won't see 15 million toxic BTS fans. That would be insanity. But even if, let's say, you come across 1,000 very toxic fans who are extremely loud, there would still be less than 0.01% of the fandom with the membership, but there are millions of others who are not, so the percentage is even less than that. My point is that the overwhelming majority of ARMYs represent a fandom that pop culture has never seen before. As a consequence of following BTS's message, the BTS ARMY not only rejects the stereotype of a crazy historical fandom, but also proves with actions that they are different. Here are only some of the examples that show how the BTS ARMY changed fandom culture. This is an unspoken rule about being an ARMY. Their personal lives are not of our concern. This is way more common with small or medium fandoms, but the very big fandoms that ruled pop culture, especially during the internet era, treated artists' personal information as facts every fan should know. I remember that back then, to call yourself a real fan of any mainstream artist, you will have to know everything about their personal lives. There were guides to know their parents' and siblings' names, information and other kind of details of the artist's personal lives. It was a thing that would come up on the popular Are You a Real Fan quizzes. But in general, BTS's fandom doesn't really care and even condemns fans digging up their personal information. The only person
First time I've started watching the videos, I was asking, like, are they dating some people, or it was because, you know, as fans, we are curious, and then the comments saying that the personal lives are not something we invade to, which in the beginning I thought that was weird because I'm used to the other fandoms, like, you know, I'm curious about if they're dating somebody, but then later on I thought about it, oh, they have so much respect for the members. They want to, even though all the fans are curious, they respect that. They don't want to disclose the private information.
information we celebrate is their birthdays, but that's it. Most don't know and don't care to know about the members' family members and their lives. If anything, ARMYs are more likely to say that real ARMYs need to know BTS's music and legendary key points of their story in the music industry. But ask the most ARMY of ARMYs how many siblings a certain member has, and you won't get an answer from them. Ask what are the names of the members' parents to an ARMY, and they will tell you that that's not public information. This is because the BTS members always protected the privacy of their non-famous friends and family members. So it's an unspoken rule that ARMY doesn't need to know about these details of their personal lives. You may think it's obvious to not care about these details. You may think it's obvious to prioritize the music over other things. But in the world of crazy big fandoms, ARMY normalized this big shift.
Another fan-led initiative was also outside Citi Field, handing out purple ribbon wristbands. They serve as reminders to concertgoers to be respectful to their fellow ARMYs.
One of the most uncontrollable moments for ARMY is when some fans, the paparazzi, and the general public go see BTS at airports or their private schedules. I still believe that by the size of the fandom, it can be even worse and more dangerous than what it already is. But there have been moments that really show how ARMY changed a part of fandom culture involving privacy and the artist's safety. For example, when BTS started getting massive worldwide popularity, it became extremely difficult for the BTS members to walk through airports, even with tons of security guards. So ARMY organized the Purple Ribbon Project, in which ARMYs in the front row form a barrier with purple ribbons to prevent...
See, that shows you how thoughtful and respectful towards the membership. Because, again, paparazzi videos you see on the internet, you see celebrities going mad because all the fans and people taking pictures, standing in front of the cars, banging on the cars, trying to take a picture and selfie somehow. But this is just, it's so thoughtful.
BTS, other fans, and the airport staff from getting mobbed.
They got those purple ribbons for the security. So like they, put all the way around us through in the airport and outside the airport and keep the security for us. Like they did it themselves.
This helped a lot with the chaos in 2018. But as the years passed, BTS became bigger and bigger.
It's like when they got to LAX, it was like the Beatles were here. I mean, your fans, it's really incredible.
So ARMY's mentality had to and did change. Now, ARMYs encourage others to simply not go to the airport or any other locations where BTS has private schedules. For example, in South Korea, every man has to serve in the military for 18 months. So whenever a famous singer or actor has their military entrance ceremony, fans will go see them, even if the celebrities ask them not to. However, during Jin's military entrance ceremony, he asked fans in an announcement to not visit him at his military entrance ceremony for his safety and the safety of other soldiers. So ARMYs listened and didn't go visit him. This is surprising because it's not only common but expected for fans to go to celebrities' military.
Just think about it. Jin made a post asking not to come, and then from all the fans, they didn't show up. Wow, just think about how respectful that is. Because everybody wants to go see Jin. They as fans, we do. But wow.
Ceremonies. Of course, the paparazzi are the paparazzi. They didn't listen to Jin's announcement and went anyway, but they were surprised to go to the ceremony and not find the avalanche of fans they were expecting. And you can tell that the paparazzi were shocked from seeing a group of fans for the first time actually listening to the celebrities' wishes.
오지 말라고 했으니까.
Wow.
됐어 잘 지켜요. 공항에서도.
Yeah,
Again,
I see their
this
follow
idea
because
of not going to the airport or other public places where BTS has private
I love that
schedules
line, though.
made not going.
you see, I see they follow their singer since their singers are kind. Ah.
Again, this idea
don't know why
of
that was
not
so
going to
heartwarming.
the airport or other public places where BTS has private schedules
Yeah, this is a normal
may
fandom
sound
culture.
obvious and common decency. But before ARMY started encouraging this, other big fandoms saw this type of mobbing as something to brag about. And if some fans told other fans to not go see their favorite artists at the airport, there would be a big entitled reaction. But now, the majority of ARMYs encourage others to give BTS their space. And there have been multiple occasions of ARMY accidentally finding the BTS members in different parts of the world and not saying anything until
Wow.
the BTS
I
members
saw this in Jin's Kitchen episode with V. There was an ARMY kid who was a big fan, but then she didn't say anything. But then she wrote a small letter to V saying, "Look, I'm a huge ARMY, this and this and this. Thank you so much." And then it was so respectful. Hey, if you want to watch full uncut reactions, click the link in the description for Patreon. Sometimes I have to edit the video a little bit, like I'll add a black screen or I'll change the audio a little bit. So if you want to watch full uncut, unedited video, click the link in the description for Patreon. Plus, you get added benefits like exclusive song reactions. Sometimes I'll react to albums, I'll react to concerts and eliminate 1 or 2 songs, which will be exclusive on Patreon.
are back in South Korea or post their travel pictures themselves. In return, BTS thanks every time ARMYs have pretended to not know them in public and have kept their location a secret. The BTS ARMY is probably the most self-organized fandom. There were times when concert venues were simply not ready for the magnitude of a BTS concert. Here are only 2 recent examples. When BTS performed at SoFi Stadium in LA in 2021, the organization from the staff was so bad that ARMYs were still outside of the venue after their concert had already started. The fans had to do their own crowd control, despite asking the venue multiple times to increase safety measures. But the venue still had this bad organization for other future events where people got badly injured, making many believe that the reason why there were no serious injuries or accidents during the 4 BTS concerts was because of ARMY's self-organization. These 4 concerts were attended by 70,000 ARMYs in each day.
See,
BTS also
the self-organization part, every member has to be thoughtful, right? Let's say there's one person who initiates an idea, says, oh, there's something happening here, people will get injured, so let's organize this in order to be safe. For most people, they will not listen. People will say, oh, who are you to say something like this? I don't really care. I just want to get close to them and I'm going to have fun. That's going to be the usual, like, a fandom. Let's take an example, like American, like, rappers. There's a lot of cases, people passing out in the concert because they kind of promote the mania, right? I think that's the core part. Like, the singers, what's the core message of the singer? The songs they're singing, the lyrics they're singing is being kind, being respectful. That is the message that is spread. So that message becomes the goal and the ideal way to act. Let's take an example, the recent cases that happened last year with the rappers. Well, what are their songs and the way they act is promoting? It's craziness, it's mania. And then that's when you see literally people passing out and dying in the concerts. And compared to BTS culture and that, you see how big of a difference that is.
Also had a one-day free concert in the city of Busan in South Korea in 2022. This concert was organized by the city, which received multiple complaints for their lack of organization and preparation for a free BTS concert. The only reason why the event was not a complete mess was because of BTS paying out of pocket for more safety measures.
아시아동 구경기장이나 부산 국제 락 페스티벌이 열리는 흠락 생태공원 등을 검토했지만 10만 명을 수용하려면 이곳이 가장 적절하다고 판단했습니다.
And ARMY being respectful to one another. BTS and ARMY's efforts for safety were recognized only after other massive festivity in South Korea was poorly organized by their city, only weeks after BTS's concert, leaving one of the biggest tragedies in the country. This type of lack of safety measures can be catastrophic. We saw them happening time and time again. This shouldn't be the public's full responsibility, but sadly, every time the venues are not prepared for a BTS concert, ARMYs take it upon themselves to organize and avoid tragedies. And you can see the fandom's mentality as a whole in the little details too. If you've been to any concert or a sport event, you've probably noticed how common it is for the place to become a mess as the event ends. But at the majority of BTS concerts, you will find ARMYs wearing masks out of respect for each other, even if it's not mandatory, using the fandom's light sticks to organize the after-concert traffic, and even leaving the trash organized.
I think this can be summarized to what is the core message that a sport brand or the artist is trying to promote. So let's take an example of BTS. What is the message they're trying to promote? Being kind, being respectful, and that is always shown by the artist, by all the members, by their etiquette, the way they speak, in the lyrics, in the songs, the way they act, that is shown. So that is what promoted. That is the ideal standard to act within the ARMY culture. Now let's take an example, different sports, and different artists, especially rappers, again, they promote mania and craziness. So that is the common way to act. Just like the paparazzi person that says, before the journalist, oh, the singer is kind, therefore the fans are kind. So if the artist is promoting some kind of an action, well, that is going to be represented in the fan.
Forms of organization prove that the mentality of the great majority of ARMYs is of respect, not only to the members of BTS, but also to each other. ARMY's respect for BTS and ARMY goes beyond the concern of privacy and safety. ARMYs are generous to each other. Small acts of generosity include ARMYs giving each other freebies at concerts. These are hundreds of small gifts ARMYs prepare for other ARMYs
that's so
for
cute.
Free, and can include BTS photo cards, stickers, accessories, snacks, bottles of water, and masks. It's not a BTS concert without this type of
This
gift.
is one of the sad things for me, which is, the friend group or the people I hang out with, it's not necessarily BTS listeners, and especially the country that I live in, there's not many ARMYs. I live in Mongolia right now, and if I was in America, it probably would have been a different situation. Again, even in my native language, I cannot speak my native language that well. Well, I can understand them properly, but it's hard for me to communicate the way I do in English. It's hard to make a genuine ARMY friend here. And seeing stuff like this, it would be nice to share a few jokes, talk about the members and the songs. That part of the camaraderie, I'm probably missing that. That maybe I'll change in the future.
But these are personal acts of generosity by each army. When armies form a fan-base association, they can do bigger projects like the Purple Ribbon Project. Different fan bases help armies understand different streaming platforms, music charts, BTS's history and discography. There are also organizations created by army professionals that help guide and inform fans in anything related to medicine, law, engineering, and computer science. There are associations of army tutors of courses like science, languages, math,
I
social
did not know
science,
this.
computer science, and art. All of these completely for free. There are also army social media accounts that buy BTS's paid content and stream it for free or share download files so every single army can watch it, even if they cannot pay for it. This may sound like it's not beneficial to the armies paying for the content or to BTS, but there are still millions of fans buying the paid content and happy to see every army being able to access the paid content. And again, this collective generosity is simply a reflection of BTS's message and actions.
Yeah,
There were times when
that
BTS
summarizes the whole
themselves
thing.
watched unofficial streams on camera and even told armies watching unofficial streams that it was okay to do so. And this generosity by armies is not performative.
See,
it's part of the
Think about the members here, though. If they say it's okay, well, they're losing direct money. Most people are going to be greedy and say, buy only from the exclusive places. Well, they're gaining some kind of financial, finances. They're getting more wealth. They're getting more money. But for the members to say it's okay to, privacy, do a piracy stream if you can't pay, I find that really cute.
the core of the fandom. Look at what happened in a hidden camera experiment. Someone left an unattended BTS merch table at a K-pop flea market, and instead of armies stealing the merch, they ended up paying more than the expected revenue and even donating their own merch to the table.
39만 8,790원이 나왔어요. 아니 어떻게 34만 500원보다 더 나온 거예요? 현장에서 팬들이 직접 굿즈를 기부하신 분들도 있었대요. 우리 방탄소년단이 전 세계에 미치는 큰 가치만큼 우리 아미분들의 행동 또한 정말 멋있다는 생각이
Wow, isn't that
드는데요.
such an amazing representation?
$1 million to Black Lives Matter.
John
and the
Cena!
army was like, yo, if they can do it, we
Yo.
can do it. And they came, fans who were already coming out of the pocket to support artists came out of pocket more to support charity. And this isn't the first time they've done this.
Finally, ARMY not only cares and respects each other and BTS, they also care about the world. You've probably heard about the one time BTS donated $1 million to Black Lives Matter, and ARMY matched their $1 million donation in 24 hours. But this type of actions happen all the time. ARMY is probably the first big fandom that made donating to charities and volunteering part of their mission.
They wanted to say thank you to me for
Also, now can we talk about the cultural impact, right? Just as an artist, if BTS didn't exist, right, would a world be a worse place? The answer is 100% yes. By BTS existing, is a world a better place? Yes. It's throughout the world. The message is shared throughout the world. We saw the map: Asia, Africa. It doesn't matter. All around the world, the message is shared. Therefore, the world is a better place. And most people are happier, and they're helping each other. They're more generous, and the music makes people's life a little bit easier. I find that beautiful. At the end of the day, the summary as a BTS member, how much of a big cultural impact as worldwide they're having towards humanity. Wow.
for something, and they organized something like charitable in my name. And part of me was like, why isn't everyone's fans doing this? Can you imagine if everyone's fans thanked them by organizing charity in their name?
ARMY has participated in thousands of charity projects around the world, including collecting trash, planting trees, donating food and clothes to shelters, and much, much more. When BTS had to cancel their entire Map of the Soul tour because of the COVID pandemic, many armies donated the money of their ticket refunds to COVID relief efforts and organizations. When concerts returned, tickets for BTS concerts sold out fast. So some armies who were not able to get tickets donated their ticket money to organizations helping Ukraine.
Go, go, go,
Again, I'm not saying that ARMY doesn't have a toxic side. In a fandom this big, there will always be at least a small number of very loud toxic fans, but they are not the majority, not even close. There's this popular idea that the internet is full of these toxic armies, but I dare you to actually click on their accounts and read what they are actually saying about BTS. I assure you, the toxic fans you come across are not actual armies. They are troll accounts pretending to be ARMY just so people can hate on BTS and their fandom. Like I said, armies are not.
I realized that this happens with the recent Suga incident. I went on to Twitter X to see what was happening, and I'd never been on Twitter before, and I saw so many negative comments, like toxic comments, like people taking like ridiculous pictures of them, like with an alcohol next to it, that, like doing DUI, and I was thinking, no way, this is like ARMY. And then I later figured out after watching Veracity Magazine video, which is they are pretending to be armies who are other fans of other groups, and they're trying to ruin the image of BTS and the fan culture.
K-pop stans. Actually, K-pop stans and other fandoms team up to compete against ARMY. This has happened since ARMY became the most powerful fandom in 2017, and as a consequence, BTS became the most successful group. So if we compare ARMY to other global fandoms of similar magnitudes, I would say that ARMY is the fandom that has done the most good. ARMY is the first big fandom who constantly rejects the craziest stereotype from the media and the general public. ARMY goes far and beyond to protect BTS's privacy and personal space, more than any other big fandom. Armies hold each other accountable and look for ways to improve the fandom at all times. ARMY cares about each other's safety and is generous to each other and the world. That's how ARMY changed fandom culture, being the most powerful.
Now watching videos like this, it makes me want to be more generous too. It makes me want to be nicer, not just when I'm interacting with maybe other fans, but just in general, being nicer, being kinder to people. It's you take a certain kind of identity. And when you identify with something, whether it's a fan cult, whether it's you say you're an ARMY, I listen to BTS. Well, when you say that to people, you have a certain identity. And that identity is a message that is shared by the artists, the members. And the message is being kind and generous. And now it makes me want to be a little bit more generous, a little bit more kinder. And I almost feel a little bit guilty now after watching this video. I don't know if I can call myself a full ARMY. I don't think I'm there yet, if there is such thing. Yeah, I feel guilty if I say like I'm a full-on pledged ARMY. I feel like a faker if I say I'm an ARMY. So I cannot proudly say that yet.
Powerful fandom is not just about having a lot of crazy fans anymore. It's about being part of a productive community. It's more than just repeating a positive slogan. This is why I think the toxic stereotype of ARMY should disappear, because it's extremely misleading.
The ARMY are great. Also, they're so poorly represented in culture as these like fangirl, crazy, like mindless, and they're the opposite. They're like intelligent, they're funny, they're tasteful, they're charitable.
There has never been a fandom community like this, and the world should see it for what it actually is.
Another great video from Veracity Magazine. Hey, if you want to watch full uncut reactions, click the link in the description for Patreon. Sometimes I have to edit the video a little bit, like I'll add a black screen or I'll change the audio a little bit. So if you want to watch full uncut, unedited video, click the link in the description for Patreon. Plus, you get added benefits like exclusive song reactions. Sometimes I'll react to albums, I'll react to concerts and eliminate 1 or 2 songs, which will be exclusive on Patreon.